guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Books and Baking. I think we're up to episode 5 now because I skipped the month of May. So we're in June and we're going to be talking about 10 books to read in your 20s, mainly because it is my birthday on a Sunday. I'm turning 25, which is so weird to me. I don't know where I thought I'd be at 25. I knew kind of where I wanted to be at 24, but at 25, I have no idea where I wanted to be at 25, but that doesn't even matter. It's just weird to me because I'm like the same age that my sister was when she fell pregnant. I'm the same age now that I met my husband. So when he was 25, I met him. And then all of his friends I met at they were 25, and I was like, I feel like I was so young. And when I met them, they were so much older than me. And now being 25, I'm like, I don't know why I thought that they were like, had their life sorted. I'm not sure. I definitely don't have my life sorted. Anyway, so these are the books that we're going to talk about a little bit more in depth. We have a mix of like lifestyle, we have finances, we have mental health stuff, we have kind of like a biography in there. We also have a lot of romance novels, and I will go in depth about why I think that you should read them in your 20s. But I have made some cupcakes. I decided that I was just going to do a packet mix vanilla cupcake recipe, so get those. But the fun thing about this is that we're going to try and make it like bookish cupcakes. I will show you the photo of the inspiration that we're going for. Will it look like that? No. I am not that good at decorating cakes. I used to be, but I also didn't. I always wanted to, but every time I tried, it failed. So I kind of just gave up. So that's probably going to happen again today, but we're gonna just try. I have some fondant. I have like those like markers to write on the books. I don't know how well this is going to work, but currently my cupcakes are baking in the oven. I did buy a vanilla cupcake recipe. However, I decided to make them a little bit funkier by adding a tablespoon of jam. It also made them look pink. So they're jam cupcakes, all right? But they're in the oven. They don't have long to go. We're gonna work on the icing. I'll show you what I have at the moment. So let me show you my goodies. So we need icing sugar. That's essential. We also have some gloves because I didn't want to get my hands dirty because I got my nails done. And then we have these icing gel pens, which are glittery ones. I realized that I don't even have black, so we'll just make do. We also wanted some fondant, piping bags. I don't know what I'm going to do with the base icing yet. I think I want to pipe icing and then put the little books on top. And then these are our books. So that's what we have so far. So I've tried a few different ways, but we can try some more and we'll see what happens. I know that I definitely want a cupcake with 25 on it, so I have to do that. But what I'm thinking, here we go. I've got to dye them different colors as well. So I'm going to pull the fondant apart first, and we will dye different colors icings. That's my thoughts. So I wanted to do like a book stack. I don't know if you can see that very well, but I wanted like a stack of books, so they'll be like facing down, and then you'll have like the titles on the spine. So I've got 2 of those. Oh, those ones are a bit crushed, never mind. And then I also have, I want to look like little books on there, and then I can either going to print off the pictures of the book and then just stick them on there. So I can probably do that a bit later on, but let's just see if this fondant icing will work the way I want it to work, and then we can chat about books. So let's talk about the 10 books that I think that you should read in your 20s, because these books helped shape a little bit more of my knowledge, I would say. Now, there's a lot more books that I think that you should read in your 20s, but for now we're just going to stick to 10. Starting off strong, we have She's the Money. She's the Money is a very well-known podcast, and then we also have it in a book form. There's 2 books, I think. This book is full of financial assistance, I would say. So it talks about loans, it talks about how to save, how to budget. She has a lot of PDFs on there as well, so she gets you like log into like the website, and then you can print that, you can download it. There's Excel spreadsheets on there. So very handy book to understand money. It also has investing in there, which I think is a really important thing to start doing in your 20s. Kind of having like a basic understanding of everything to really set you up. She even goes into retirement and how you should save for your retirement. Honestly, I haven't finished reading that book. Got a little bit overwhelming for me, but that book is very helpful. I definitely budget a lot better after reading that book than I would have otherwise. So that is our first book. The next book that we're going to have a look at is Atomic Habits. And I think this book is very good at setting you up for success. Like if you want to be successful in any way, shape or form, I think that starts with having good habits. This book really teaches you how to create habits. It helps you understand what habit stacking is. Really helps you make the most of your day, I would say. So how we can stack habits in order to achieve the most of what we can get done in a day. It also helps you to remove all of the negative and the bad habits in your life. So this book is really, really helpful and offers a lot of insight into, just setting you up for success. Honestly, that's the best way that I could put it. The next book is One Day. This is now a TV show, but first it was the cutest book of all time. It was also a movie, actually. So a book, and then a movie, and then a TV show. Anyway, this book is a romantic fiction story about two individuals who met at college, and I don't know, they kind of maybe had a crush on each other during that time, but no one ever said anything. And they were at college, so they were graduating and their whole life was ahead of them at this point in time. So they were like, you know what, let's go our separate ways, let's be friends and all of that. So it follows their lives over the next few years, throughout their 20s, and what they end up doing in their life and how their life changes. You know, I think there's a scene where the female MC is working at a Mexican restaurant where she has to sing for people's birthdays. Anyway, she absolutely hates it. That's not where she was meant to be when she was, 25 years old, and just how life changes. I think she got fired from her job. Sadly, his mum passes away, and that changes him a lot. I think there is someone has a child in this as well, I do believe. So yeah, it's just how life leads you along, but they end up finding each other again. This book really helped me figure out that time is short, and if you love someone and if you care about that person and want to seek a relationship with them, to do it as soon as you can. So if you have feelings for somebody, just tell them, just let them know, just communicate with them, because you never know where life will lead you. And sometimes I think that the fear of being rejected really holds us back in life. So maybe if they had told each other, that particular night in college, they wouldn't have wasted so much time not being together. On a similar note, there is also Lonely People by Sally Rooney. This book was also very, very similar to One Day. It's basically the same thing, but I think they're in high school when they meet, and how life goes on and life changes them, and one of them sticks around in their town and the other one goes off and explores things, and they get into different relationships and not the right relationships, and they just take forever to tell each other that they love each other. It was very similar, but I really, really enjoyed the TV show for this one. Highly suggest that. I don't know if it's on Prime or Stan or something. All right, I have all 4 of my colors here. We have green, yellow, pink, and blue. So I'm going to make the shapes, and then I'm going to put them on a plate and then stick them in the fridge. So they can go in the fridge to harden up so that they don't squish when I put them on top of the cakes. I hope this works. I really don't know if it's going to work or not. And if it doesn't, that's fine. We'll just print out a little picture for each little book. So I have 12 cupcakes, 2 of which I want to use for the number 25. So we need that. So we need like 10 book related things. So 2 are going to be like the little stacks of books, I think. I also want 2 that are like an open book, and then the rest we can do as little books. On to the 4th book, which is The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Laurie Gilmore. This is a part of the Dream Harbor series, which is a series that I love. Now, this one was not my favorite in the series, I dare say it. However, it was a really fun, adventurous little book. So our main character is 29 and she's almost 30, and she's kind of been a little bit of a hermit. She keeps to herself. She does things that are familiar to her, and she's a bit scared to get outside of her comfort zone. But turning 30, this has kind of freaked her out a little bit, because she realizes, oh, I haven't done much with my life. I've taken over this bookstore, and that's kind of it. Everything else, yeah, she just kind of hasn't lived her life. So a young man that is her friend ends up helping her to achieve this. He hides little clues and notes in books around her bookstore, which she ends up finding, and all of them help her live her life. So she ends up doing all of these really fun little activities, and it's kind of, you don't know that the guy is the one that is putting, you kind of know, all right? I knew from the start. Anyway, so it's not, I'm not spoiling anything for you. She doesn't know though. The next book, number 5, is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. So it's a book entirely based on domestic violence, and it is a really good eye-opener to relationships and to what it might be like being in a abusive relationship. I think it's really good at understanding that. I think that It Ends With Us really portrays abusive relationships really well, as, you know, you love that person, you care for that person, but you can't understand why it's happening. So I think that it's really important to read in your 20s, just as a bit of a caution and a bit of an eye-opener to just making sure that you're not in that type of a relationship, and also what that relationship could look like, because there are many forms of abuse and control in relationships. So it's really, really important to just be aware of that. Yeah, and I think that that book really showcases and helps you understand what that could look like. The 6th book is called 22, and this is the one that's a bit of a biography of a girl who did a lot in her life, and this is about her at the age of 22. Like, how many challenges do you kind of face at 22? Majority of people will graduate at around 21, 22 here in Australia. So it goes into her life and all the stuff that she did at 22, and how important having like a mentor is at that age. I just felt it really helpful to be able to connect with somebody that was also going through a difficult time, trying to figure out love, life, relationships, belief systems, all of that, and even friendships, because in your 20s you lose a lot of friendships, and that's completely normal, but it sucks. So it was nice to have knowing that somebody else was also struggling. Favorite out of all of them, just because of how fun it is. It is called Heartbreak House Share, and kind of similar to 22 in that we have a girl who's just moved out for the first time, and she's living with, I think there's 3 roommates, and it just follows their life, and it was just so fun. I would lean more to like a general fiction of this book rather than like a romance. However, it is called Heartbreak House Share. She does end up meeting someone, and there's an ex-boyfriend in this and all of that, but I really loved it for like the friendship aspect of it, and like starting out a new job and moving to another city or whatever, and trying to make new friends. Like, all of that is so hard to do at what feels like such a young age, where you're meant to, like, you know, have your life together. But when you're in your 20s, you don't feel like you have your life together at all. The 9th book is called You Do You by Sarah Knight. This is a fantastic book. It's so great to read it in your 20s, because it talks about how it's your life and you're the only one that's in control of it and need to make your own decisions. I think in high school, you know, and throughout your childhood, you kind of always told what to do and almost who to be, you know, sit still, be quiet, make sure you get good grades, you know, do things that your parents might want you to do and that you've never wanted to do, all of that kind of stuff. And this book, I think, is really helpful to read in your 20s so that you can understand who you are and what you want, and that it is your life, and that people can have opinions of your life, sure, no worries, but they shouldn't be dictating your life and what you want out of life. So it goes into it a lot. It talks about career, most importantly, and what you should be doing. She talks about how, you know, she went from a 9-to-5 sedentary job of hating a single day to then working, I think she's like in Hawaii or something. She has a remote job in Hawaii and she's just like living her best life now because she decided to do what she wanted to do. For the last book I have left, Setting Boundaries. This book is so good, and it's another one of those books where I think people need to understand. Growing up, my mom would always tell me how important it is to have boundaries with your family as well, especially when you grow up and you get married, that people can't just like come over willy-nilly. It's quite similar to the you do you, and the fact of like, sure, you can have opinions of my life, but don't try and dictate my life and what you want me to be or how you want me to be. So setting boundaries is very similar to that. It even talks about boundaries in relationships, in family, in friendships. It also teaches you how to say no to things that you don't want to go to. I think it's helpful once you understand your boundaries, you can also understand other people's boundaries. Okay, so those are the 10 books that I think that you should definitely read in your 20s. The earlier, the better, to be honest. So then you're not messing up the rest of your 20s. Set yourself up for success in your 20s. That's probably the best advice that I would give somebody. Learn as much as you can at the start of your 20s so that you can kind of almost enjoy the rest of your 20s. I think your 20s should be enjoyable. I definitely think that. I don't think that you should have your whole entire life together in your 20s. Enjoy being in your 20s, but also learn as much as you can in your 20s as well. Make mistakes. Do the big things in your 20s. If it's move to another country, move to another country. Like, figure out who you are, and I think that that is the most important thing, to understand who you are, what you love, who you want to be, what you want to be. I think that's okay to figure out in your 20s, and enjoy the journey, enjoy the ride. I'm not sure what 25 has in store for me at this point in my life, but right now I'm just trying to focus on my business and my marriage, and building healthy relationships. So that is what I'm going to focus on in the year ahead. I'm going to make a buttercream now, and then I'm going to attempt to ice them. I might just pop a little bit of a clip at the end, so you're not watching me assemble these the entire time with nothing to talk about. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next video. Bye.